Have you ever wondered why salt, something so simple, holds such profound significance in spiritual texts? Stay with us as we uncover the hidden spiritual power of salt in the scriptures. Why does something as simple as salt hold such deep spiritual meaning? Join us as we explore the hidden power of salt in the scriptures. In ancient times, salt was precious, even used as currency. It wasn't just a seasoning, it was life itself, deeply intertwined with faith. Salt appears over 40 times in the Bible, symbolizing purity, preservation, and covenant. Why does something so ordinary hold such deep meaning? Salt represents an everlasting covenant in the scriptures, a sacred agreement that binds and preserves relationships, signifying unbreakable spiritual commitments. Salt preserves from decay, symbolizing the enduring nature of spiritual commitments. How does your faith preserve your soul from spiritual decay? Salt purifies, used in sacred rituals to represent purity. How can we purify our lives, preparing ourselves for divine encounters? Salt is used in cleansing rituals across cultures, symbolizing the removal of impurities. How are we preparing our spirits for spiritual encounters? Just as salt prepares the way, are we using spiritual salt in our lives to stay pure and walk the path of righteousness? Salt keeps the flame of our spirit burning brightly, undiminished by the impurities of the world. How are we keeping our spiritual flame alive? Holding salt, reflect on your inner purity. How can you purify your thoughts and actions to align with the divine? Salt preserves. God's command to season offerings with salt signifies the eternal nature of our covenant with Him. How does faith preserve you? For centuries, salt has preserved food, just as faith preserves spiritual integrity. Are you preserving what is sacred in your life? Salt teaches us the importance of maintaining what is sacred. How do we preserve our values, relationships, and faith in daily life? Salt protects from decay. Are you allowing the salt of wisdom to guard your heart from corruption in the world? As time passes, how are you preserving your spiritual legacy? The salt of faith helps withstand the tests of time. Salt symbolizes an unbreakable covenant in the scriptures. How steadfast are you in honoring your spiritual and personal commitments? In many cultures, sharing salt seals an agreement, making it sacred. How do you uphold your commitments with others and with God? The salt covenant is enduring. Are we honoring our commitments with the same unbreakable spirit as the covenant of salt? Sharing salt is sharing life. How do we uphold our end of the spiritual covenant with others and with God? Salt calls us to be faithful and steadfast. Are we living up to the commitments made in our spiritual journey? Salt heals, just as Elisha healed the waters of Jericho with salt. Are you allowing spiritual salt to heal your heart? Salt has the power to heal spiritual wounds, not just physical ones. Are you letting spiritual salt cleanse and restore you? In many cultures, sharing salt seals an agreement, making it sacred. How do you uphold your commitments with others and with God? When seeking healing, do you turn to the salt of Scripture to cleanse your spirit and restore your well-being? The source of spiritual healing is as enduring as a mountain. Are we drawing from the right sources for spiritual health? In moments of suffering, remember the healing power of salt, symbolizing the cleansing and restoration offered by faith. Salt guides us, lighting the path to spiritual enlightenment and peace. Are you following the path paved with spiritual salt? As you navigate life's vast oceans,
Are you using the spiritual compass of salt to find your way? Salt is within your grasp. How will you use it to preserve, purify, and heal your spiritual journey? The journey may be long, but the light of salt will guide you. Are you ready to follow its path? Let the winds of change carry the salt of wisdom into your life. Are you ready for spiritual transformation? Climb higher in your spiritual journey with the help of salt. Are you ready to ascend to the summit of faith?
Let your faith burn bright with the protection of salt. How will you keep your spiritual fire alive and strong? The wisdom of salt is waiting to be uncovered. Will you seek it out in the scriptures? Pray with the purity of salt. How will you incorporate its power into your prayers and spiritual practices? Let salt be the guardian of your faith. How will you keep your spiritual fire alive with its protection? In your hands lies the power of salt. How will you use it to transform your spiritual life and journey? The journey may be long, but the light of salt will guide you. Are you ready to follow its path? Let the winds of change carry the salt of wisdom into your life. Are you ready for spiritual transformation? Climb higher in your spiritual journey with the help of salt. Are you ready to ascend to the summit of faith? Let your faith burn bright with the protection of salt. How will you keep your spiritual fire alive? Embrace salt's cleansing power. Are you ready to let it purify and transform your spiritual journey? Let spiritual salt guide you to new heights. Will you ascend to the summit of faith with renewed strength? The winds of change can carry the salt of wisdom into your life. Are you prepared for transformation? Climb higher with spiritual salt. Will you reach the summit of faith with renewed strength? Let your faith burn bright with salt's protection. How will you keep your spiritual fire alive? Embrace salt's cleansing power. Are you ready to let it purify and transform your spiritual journey? Let spiritual salt guide you to new heights. Will you follow its path to spiritual enlightenment and growth? Let your spiritual fire burn with the protection of salt. How will you keep your faith strong and alive? The winds of change can bring wisdom. Are you ready to embrace the transformative power of salt? Salt can elevate your faith journey. Will you ascend to new spiritual heights with its guidance? Keep your spiritual flame burning bright with salt's protection. How will you maintain your faith's strength? Embrace salt's power to cleanse and renew. Are you ready to let it transform your spiritual path? Climb higher with spiritual salt. Will you reach the summit of faith with renewed strength and guidance? Let your faith burn bright with the protection of salt. How will you keep your spiritual fire alive? Salt, in its simplest form, is a reminder of purity and preservation. How will you let it guide your life? If this story has touched your heart, share it with others. Let's spread the message of God's love and mercy, and remember to stay faithful, just as salt preserves the earth. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more spiritual insights and biblical truths.